Asteroid Apocalypse.
Revelation 8, verse 10. Then the third angel sounded, and a great star fell from heaven, burning like a torch.
Apophis, by J.M. Conradi. Prologue. And a great star fell from the sky, burning, like a torch, Revelations 8 verse 10. This is a difficult story to tell, and probably beyond my capability. But I am writing this journal anyway to whomever it may concern. In fiction, like computer games, the awful deaths of millions or even billions of strangers are mentioned dismissively, as long as the protagonist's circle doesn't die too much and make the main character appear ineffective. Heaven and earth could be moved to save the selected ones whose names we know. Well, if only mankind worked on moving heaven and earth to avoid the tragedy of 2029, having had centuries of warnings to heed. But it wasn't a popular cause. All our charity and all our profit would come to naught if Apophis landed. Yet we dismissed it all too easily given its erratic path, its chaotic nature, its variables. Was it not abnormal enough to warrant more attention? This was no ordinary asteroid. It is different from fiction, to have to relate such tragedy in a journal of what I witnessed that awful year and afterwards. I hope it may perhaps be worth my tears, if a future civilization reads it and takes warnings more seriously than propaganda. Or, if a time traveler takes it back to the right time and place to change mankind's focus or path, a path of transparency and less centralized power, so that priorities could change for real dangers, instead of secret agendas. Maybe you, dear reader, are the one to warn that mankind is focusing on the wrong priorities and causes. Because it was hard, but not completely impossible, to stop Apophis or reduce the harm. If only we had focused on it in time, instead of humoring lucrative social fantasies, as if mankind is the determining factor in the cosmos. Human nature cannot be changed by adding some flowery words. Nonetheless, wordmongers and the means to broadcast them ruled. Meantime, the apocalypse had been bearing down on us for millions of years, and we had been warned for thousands of years. It was almost as if the physical cosmic truth was obscured by a veil, and only the most spiritually connected could see partial ghostly glimpses of what was coming. This, despite the mathematical fact that Apophis would, eventually, strike Earth. But media owners set modern man's priorities. They determined which partial glimpses were conspiracy theories, and which partial glimpses were science, based on where those bosses could gain power. And we obeyed them like sheep, until it was too late. Chapter 1. Day D-11. We had less than 2 weeks warning that NASA and others had overestimated their ability to predict the erratic flight path of Apophis to the nearest 20,000 miles, let alone meters. It may have been presumptuous, the press liaison said, to report a certain level of certainty about the abnormally close path of Apophis this year through the immeasurable vastness of space, despite many oscillating variables. We want to be transparent? Oh, sure, we believe you. It took a while for such obscure references to be understood by enough ordinary people to really have an effect on the world, so Ian had a few hours advantage. He had been acutely aware of Apophis for a few years in advance, an avid follower of the list of dangerous near-Earth objects and the very overrated Torino scale of risks. He needed only half a sentence in a very early radio bulletin to react to what had gone through his mind in theory many times before. He was in his car and at the mall within minutes with his credit card. Who cares what is owed on a card during an apocalypse? He chose a mall that had everything, from an ozone water shop to obscure plants and gold coins. It could come down to his having rehearsed this before. He was ready. As he moved fast through the still unaware throng of shoppers, he thought of what he knew of Apophis.
Chance of Apophis impacting Earth is about 100,000 times more likely than winning the lottery. If this were to happen, the effects would likely spell the greatest natural catastrophe that mankind has ever seen. The Apophis impact event is estimated to have a kinetic energy of 1,200 megatons, which is over 40 times the energy of the aforementioned Tunguska meteor. This would be like detonating 80,000 Hiroshima bombs at the same point, all at once. The effect would be worsened if the meteor were to strike the ocean, as a resulting tsunami would devastate coastal populations on a near global scale. Life as we know it would likely take millions of years to recover.
Asteroid Apophis, Asteroid Apophis. Asteroid Apophis.